All right, Ellen Moir is a leader in addressing our most important educational needs. She founded and is chief executive of the New Teacher Center. That's a national organization dedicated to improving student learning by accelerating the effectiveness of new teachers and school leaders. She's recognized as a passionate advocate for our nation's newest teachers and for the students they teach. She became an Ashoka Fellow in 2011 and is the recipient of the 2011 Skoll Award for Social Entrepreneurship. Please welcome Ellen Moir.
Thank you very much. Good evening. It's a pleasure to be here with all of you. I've enjoyed my day so much. I felt driven and passionate and focused on supporting teachers when I got here. But as I listened to the panels all day and so many members talking about a lot of arrows or fingers are pointing to education. Education is the foundation of our democracy, and we must do something to support our teachers, our principals, and most importantly, all of our students. Every child in America deserves a teacher like Moir. Every child in America deserves a great teacher. Before I begin to tell you about the work that I'm doing, I want to show you or tell you a story about what drives me and what has sort of stayed with me for my whole career. My mother and father are very loving, but my mother didn't graduate from high school, and my father just barely. And neither of them could help me navigate school. I looked like I was doing okay, but everything I did was brand new, and I never was very sure of myself. I watched the other kids to try and copy them. One day, in my Spanish class in high school as a junior, my teacher there, her name was Miss Hayward. She was my favorite teacher. You all know, you remember a favorite teacher. And she said to me, Elena, hablas español como mexicana. ¿No quieres ser maestra bilingüe? She said, Ellen, you're like an amazing Spanish speaker. You speak just like a native speaker. Don't you want to consider being a bilingual teacher? Well, quite frankly, my parents really thought I could be a secretary and get married. And this teacher's idea that I could inspire young people and that I could teach drove me to become a bilingual teacher. She said to me, maybe you should go to Mexico and you could really learn to be bilingual even more. You could really speak with native speakers and you could acquire so much more Spanish. And I went. And she wrote me letters while I was there. She encouraged me constantly and told me to behave myself. But that experience in my life lifted my life. And I have always held on to how important it is to have an inspiring, talented, compassionate, smart teacher. And I feel so strongly that every child, regardless of the zip code that they're born into, deserves that inspiring teacher. We heard some comments earlier today, and I'm going to repeat a few of them. Our teachers are not failing our students. The system is failing our teachers and our students. And we need to have a robust transformation to not only be able to recruit amazingly smart young people into the profession, but we also need to be able to keep them and to help them grow and develop over time, and to create career ladders and lattices so teachers can do other things over the course of their career. I had the opportunity to direct teacher education at UC Santa Cruz, and I could see that the smartest young people that were going out to teach, we only were recruiting, we only had a program of 50 candidates out of 150, so we selected the best and the brightest. And they'd get their key to their classroom. They were so excited they could hardly wait to do it better than any of us. They weren't going to have discipline problems. They weren't going to have parents complain. They were just going to be knocking the ball out of the park. And then in October, my phone would ring, October, right after they started. And they would say, Ellen, I'm quitting. I can't do it. And these confident, talented, smart young people had lost their courage, had lost their confidence, had lost their sense of efficacy, and they thought they should quit. They felt like frauds. They thought they were doing injustice to the kids. And it haunted me. I thought, what is going on? And so as I traveled the country and I read and I listened and I thought, I said to myself, there's no way I can stand in front of another incoming group of smart, talented new teachers unless I solve the problem of what happens to them when they get the key to their very own classroom. How many of you once were teachers? Raise your hand really high if you once were a teacher. Look around the room. You can relate to what I'm talking about. You know what we do in this country? We spend billions of dollars on hiring teachers. There have been junkets to go off to Puerto Rico and who knows where to get teachers. And in the end, we dump teachers in the toughest assignments in the toughest schools with the kids that are the most needy, and we wonder why they quit. We lose 50% of all new teachers in the first 5 years, and we lose many more of them before that. And even if they don't physically leave, they leave because they don't psychically do not feel competent. You know, it's not only about, we heard about launching someone's career. It's, you know, these are young people that have a job. They could teach, but they quit. And kids, the same set of kids, year after year, get a brand new teacher. They're abandoned by teachers year after year. And the students in the toughest schools and the toughest communities wind up feeling like, you won't last either, teacher. And therefore, nothing matters. So, fast forward, I wasn't going to let this happen in America. And when no one cared about teachers in 1988 and through 98, no one was talking about teachers. I knew always that my friends that had been teachers, just like I was a teacher, but that my friends that were still teaching kids, some of them looked as gray at 29 as the walls that they were in. They'd lost their inspiration, their passion. They'd been squelched down. We heard about that today with No Child Left Behind, but it has been happening for many years because teacher voices are rarely heard. Student voices are rarely heard. I wanted to develop something that honored and valued expert teachers. And so we started the New Teacher Centers model, which is really going into school districts, the toughest school districts. The 200 largest school districts have the majority of brand new teachers, as do rural areas across the country. But we go into a school district and we work with them to design what's now called a talent development strategy. Before, years and years ago, I'd go in on the side with the coordinator of new teachers. No one in the district cared. But today, I'm hopeful. Everyone cares. Everyone finally recognizes, for the first time in my long career, that teachers matter. And so the school district and us, we together, select the most talented teachers in the system. They're released full-time, and their job is to teach new teachers how to teach. So these expert teachers come together in every city that we work in. And any time we bring them together, we offer them professional development, and we bring them together on a regular basis because we want them to know, we want to hear and learn, how good are your new teachers doing? Which ones are able to reach standards? Which are above? Which are below? What are the interventions? How do we move all new teachers from good to very good to excellent? So as we work so closely, it gives me goosebumps to be in rooms with talented teachers. They're so innovative, they're so creative, they're so curious. And we've awakened and reawakened their whole sense of the importance of being teachers as they go beside these new teachers. Each mentor has a caseload of 15 new teachers. They're in the classrooms with them every week. They help them set up the class before school starts and then go into their class with them weekly, giving them continuous feedback and support. And do you know what these new teachers say? They say, "You're my guardian angel. You're a saint." And these teachers say, "I'm learning as much from you and with you because this is about learning together." I have a hidden agenda. As I said earlier, I want a better profession. I want teachers to be at the cutting edge of their thinking and their teaching and their learning. I want them re-inspired. And across America this last year, we've easily reached 6,000 exemplary teachers that are mentors. Not anyone can be a mentor. You have to have outstanding interpersonal communication skills. You need to have worked with a diverse set of students and use assessments to drive instruction. And you have to really believe that all teachers can learn. And you get a chance not to sort of put a template on these teachers, but to really engage them in an inquiry into their process, into teaching, so that they become the teachers early on that we want to fully develop. These new teachers get the habits of mind and the thoughtfulness and the inquiry, and they learn engagement strategies, and they're constantly at their edge learning. It's really a threefer. Students are the primary beneficiaries of this work. First of all, they get a better teacher. You can have an expert physics teacher paired up with a brand new physics teacher, and together that new teacher's accelerating his or her potential and growth. Right there, you can just see them developing over time. Principals think that first-year teachers look like third-year teachers. And teachers themselves, when we surveyed all 15,000 of them, 96% say they wouldn't have stayed in teaching had they not had this mentoring, and they wouldn't ever be as good as they are without it. So kids are the primary beneficiaries. Teachers are better teachers. They're accelerating their development. They're staying longer. And these expert mentors, these expert teachers, for the first time in their career, have been honored and valued for what their contributions are to American education. And then these teachers in all are not just in rooms. They're in schools. They're with leaders who really need support in helping to be developed into instructional leaders. So we work simultaneously with principals. And we're disrupting everything that they're usually doing, right? We're teaching principals how to engage adults in learning, how to make learning central and hum in the school community. Because if new teachers, as we work with new teachers, if the principal is toxic or the culture's not good, new teachers will leave the exact schools that we want them in. So together, mentors and their caseload of brand new teachers and principals engage in working much more closely together and making teaching public, whereas when I taught, you just went in your room, closed the door, and did your thing. And then they're not just in schools, they're in districts. Many times I would say dysfunctional districts. And we work now with the superintendent and the deputy superintendents to try and really wrap our arms around together to build an innovative learning opportunities and to get the district office to be in service of the schools. That's key, and to make sure that teachers and their students have what they need to be successful. You know, I'm really optimistic about education today, more than ever. First of all, there are 3 or so converging factors. One, everyone cares about teachers and teacher effectiveness. We see teacher evaluation systems changing everywhere. That's a good thing. Not to get rid of those, quote, lousy teachers, but to develop teachers. We have a chance to actually build new evaluation systems and help everyone move from good to very good to excellent. Great evaluation systems don't mean much unless you have something in place to help talent develop. And then we have the Common Core standards, which are, now been adopted by most of the states. I think those standards, again, you can have good standards that become bureaucratized and problematic, but I think those standards begin to approximate the kind of education that we've been talking about today, that really delivers on the promise of a high-quality learning opportunity. So you have that, and then we also have online. We have blended learning. We have so much with technology today. Actually, I didn't mention, but we mentor brand new teachers in rural areas as well. Online, you can connect a new chemistry teacher anywhere in the country with a brand new chemistry teacher somewhere else. And together they can even see each other teach through the use of cameras and new technology. There are many opportunities out there today for learning, for teachers to really engage and be at their best. And then we also see ourselves now in a time when the New Teacher Center itself, 150 of us, a nonprofit that spun out of the university 4 years ago, is really driving to transform American education. We're capable of scaling. Right now we're in 24 of the largest urban districts with a picture and a view to try and get to 60 by 2017. There's nothing between us and scaling other than really a very tight focus and the kind of resources that can drive for a better education in America. Now's our time. I think it's once in a century that we see these kinds of opportunities coming together. I'm extremely optimistic that if we induct new teachers, if we bring them in and give them the kind of skills and knowledge and inquiry approach and engagement strategies, that they can be on that path to excellence from the beginning. It's hard to change teacher practice after they've used their own practices for years and years. Why should we, by getting in early, we can transform the way new teachers teach. And then I'm also optimistic because I see the country caring about teachers. So rather than bureaucratizing teachers and turning them into widgets, let's work together to re-inspire our teachers and to help them be the best that they can. P.S., you know that high school Spanish teacher I told you about, Miss Hayward? I've wanted to say thank you to her for probably close to, I won't tell you how long, but since 1968. And I finally got the courage up. I Googled her. I found someone that I thought seemed like she was probably 4 years older than me. And I called, and I swear my heart was just pounding. And I heard this woman say hello. And I said, hello, are you the Miss Hayward that I had in 1967 and 68 in my Spanish class? Were you teaching at Monterey High? And she said, I was. And I said, whoa. I screamed. She must have thought I was crazy. And I said, I want to thank you. I really want to thank you. I never would be where I am today had it not been for you. And then I asked her what I've been dying to ask her. How long did you teach? And she said, I only taught for 2 years. I wasn't very good. And it was really hard. And I was just left there to sink or swim. And I realized at that moment, we have a lot of work to do. I plead with you to join me in building American education so that we can launch the careers of new teachers, we can improve student learning, and we can ultimately create an innovative, creative, and successful country. Thank you.